Let me start off by telling you about this guy, okay? His name will be Guy. He's this guy who never misses a deadline. He runs marathons, he reads all these books on productivity, but when he closes the door, he seems to be stuck in porn. So how is it possible that the man who has control over everything else in his life can feel so powerless in this area when it comes to pornography? And that is what we're talking about today on the Inner Revolution. So stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to the Inner Revolution. My name is Enoch Fossum. I'm an AMFT intern who is specializing in addiction, specifically pornography addiction. Believe it or not, if you're listening to this podcast, then hey, that might be you, my guy. Or girl. 20% of my audience are women. So you guys, don't just make any assumptions here, okay? Women are in the chat. Take a deep breath, relax. It's gonna be okay. All right, women, girls, welcome in. Glad you're here. Guys, you too. If you are looking for like-minded people who are trying to become the people that they want or the person that they want, then this is the place for you. Here at the Inner Revolution, that is what we focus on, is simply becoming. Becoming the person that you want to be, whoever that is. And more than likely, pornography is not in that person's future. This future of yourself, pornography is probably not in there. And so what can we do? How can we get it out? How can we put pornography behind us for the rest of your life? That's what we're going to figure out, and that's what we're going to do. Before we begin, if you are looking for a therapist or a coach to overcome pornography and put it behind you for the rest of your life, then you can schedule a free 15-minute consultation with me down below. It's been so awesome to meet some of you guys recently who have scheduled. And so if you are looking for somebody, then go ahead and use the link scheduled down below. The most important relationship when it comes to therapy, or the most important factor in therapy or coaching, is the relationship that we have right here, which is why we do a consultation to see if we'll even get along and if you like me and if I like you. I'm just kidding. It's really your choice. But that's the reason you got a free 15-minute consultation if you want. Again, down in the link in the description, you can schedule there. Okay, so the highly successful man, the disciplined man. I feel like discipline is a word that's just getting thrown around everywhere, and I'm sure it has for decades and decades. You just need discipline. But if you have discipline and you still struggle with porn, what then? You know? Is it discipline? Is it you? Are you broken? Are you messed up? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But I don't think porn addiction, it's not just about laziness or weakness. I think at times specifically porn, it preys on the very traits that tend to make people successful. And here's what I mean by that. I think discipline can mask or even fuel porn use overall. You think of the really disciplined man, the super successful person, again, woman, super successful woman in her career. She is doing all the right things. But when it comes to porn and trying to control it through discipline, right? She can't seem to do it. And I think a big part of the problem is around this idea of this high self-control is going to lead to super high levels of perfectionism, making these failures, so having PMOing, porn, masturbation, orgasm, so slipping, okay, messing up. When you do slip, it makes these slips feel just catastrophic and feels like you're an absolute failure because you have these such high standards for yourself as this disciplined person. The quote of, "I should be able to control this," becomes the source of shame. You are shoulding on yourself. I should be able to do this. I should be able to do that. And so when you don't, then you feel like a failure. Or it's, I am really successful in this area of my life and this area of my life, so I should be able to be disciplined in this area. And so when you're not, ripple effect goes out to the rest of your life and you feel like a complete failure. So over structuring your life, over assuming, I should say, that you are disciplined in every aspect of your life can lead to, I would say, emotional rigidity. Think of the opposite of psychological flexibility in ACT. See where I'm going? But that leaves little space for vulnerability when you overstructure and you over-identify with, I'm disciplined in every aspect of my life. This is like having a perfectly built dam, but over time, pressure builds and the water is going to find a weak point eventually. And the thing about this discipline and making this assumption that you're disciplined in every aspect of your life, so you should be disciplined in this aspect, is really just a facade. It's fake. It doesn't exist. It's not real. And so bringing it back to this high achiever Guy, like we mentioned in the beginning, Guy is he's super disciplined, but he's also highly critical of himself. And you'll find that a lot with people that are really successful, is they are really highly critical of themselves. And to a point, it can be a good thing, right? This high level of perfectionism, it pushes you beyond to go and do something that's better than everybody else, and you're going to have perfectionism about it, so you're not going to stop until you hit it, which is all dandy. But there comes a time, and it's not just in addiction, I think that this can have a ripple effect in other aspects of your life too, that this perfectionism obviously can have a negative side effect. I mean, it's like anxiety, right? And stress. A little amount of anxiety and stress can actually be really good and really healthy and even necessary in your life to push you and to help you strive for more, because you have something behind you that's kind of pushing you, right? Like a little bit of stress, a little bit of anxiety. And so same thing goes with perfectionism and overachieving and discipline, is that it can get you to a really high place. But at the same time, there is an opposite to that. And if you are a high achiever, or you consider yourself to be really disciplined, you might struggle with what's called emotional literacy. You may have all of this pressure to appear strong, competent, and in control. Like if you're the manager of a team, right? You can't be vulnerable and say, oh man, I actually don't know what's going on right now. I don't know the answer to your question. Now, let's be real, of course you can. But the stigma behind these managers, right, or just around high achievers, around discipline, around hustle culture, all these things, is that you have to be strong and you have to be competent and in control. And any sign of weakness means you're a bad manager. When in reality, that just shows that you're human, and in fact will probably get you closer to your team than being this fake, strong, competent leader. Anyway, I digress. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But porn offers this private, predictable way to relieve tension without risking any judgment. And so you can fake all of these things, and then finally, when I just can't do it anymore, you go to porn to release with, literally, right? There's no risk to it. It's all private. No one's going to know. And you can continue to be this, pretend to be this strong, competent, in control person, even when on the inside you're freaking out. And so the way you cope with that is through porn. And so there are these emotional regulation gaps that make porn more reinforcing. You have a hard time dealing with certain aspects of your life because they aren't in line with the socially compliant vision of what a disciplined and highly successful person is like. You have a hard time coping with those or feeling those and understanding them. And so you use porn to cope, if that makes sense. And so a lot of people fall into this identity trap. They tie their discipline to their identity. So they say, I am disciplined, I should not struggle. And so when you struggle, you think, I must not be disciplined. And so if your identity is tied to discipline, and if you're not disciplined, what are you? A total chump, a total failure. So do you see where that becomes a problem? That just reinforces this identity, or not identity, it reinforces just the overall porn cycle, right? Because when you slip, that means you're not disciplined. And if you're not disciplined, you're a total loser. So how do I cope with this feeling of being a loser? Well, I'm just going to go PMO. Just going to go watch porn. And that's what your brain's going to suggest naturally, right? Because when you have these feelings of, oh my gosh, I'm not enough, I'm a failure, your brain's like, hey man, relax. Like, it's going to be okay. I know just the thing we can do. We can go watch porn. That's what worked. That's what's worked in the past, and it will work again. So let's go do that. Now remember, your brain's not trying to harm you. It's not trying to cause, it doesn't have ill intent. It's trying to do what's best. And it finds that you are in distress, you're hurting, and so it's going to try and help you by suggesting porn. So this fusion to the identity of I am disciplined, it keeps porn as a central narrative. If I'm disciplined, I wouldn't struggle. But I do struggle with porn, so I'm not disciplined, therefore I'm a loser. So you guys, this is why it is so important to come to understand that who you are is not tied to what you do. Let me say that again. What you do is not tied to who you are. You are a human being, you're not a human doing. Too often, we tie everything that we do, how we behave, what we say, what other people say to us, how other people judge us, we tie all of that to our identity, to us as people, to you as a person, when none of that identifies who you are. Remember, your self-worth can't change. Your self-worth is always 100%. Now, does that mean that you can just go rob a bank and run your life into the ground and still have 100% worth? Yes. Yes, it does. But is that the life that you want? Probably not. Your self-worth is not going to change. It's the same as the people that are in prison. It's all the same. Okay? What you do is not tied to who you are as a person. And so even if you are the most disciplined person in the world, okay? That is you. You're the most disciplined person in the world. If you slip up every now and again, or let's say you hit the snooze button when you never have before, does that mean you're a failure? No, absolutely not. You look at all of these things, from slips to failures to messing up in your day-to-day job, whatever. You look at those as little data points on this upward trend graph, right? Little bullet points, ba-doop, ba-doop. Little data points for you to take note, learn from, and see how you can improve going forward. So you want to shift your identity from being this perfection-based identity to having more of a growth and learning identity. Now we could talk about all this growth mindset, fixed mindset shenanigans. I feel like that's also a hot topic that's overhyped. Carol Dweck, love you. All this stuff is great. We're not going to talk about it right now though. So here are some things that you can do. Okay, if you're a disciplined man, if you're a disciplined woman, you're really successful but you can't seem to put porn behind you, you'll find that the answer isn't any different than compared to those who are not disciplined but they still struggle with porn. First, you need some emotional awareness. You've got to come to understand and be more aware of when you have triggers, what are you feeling? Or what feelings lead up to triggers? If you don't know that, then how are you supposed to expect to change and to grow if you don't know where to start? And so start taking notes. Start taking note. Journal down, put it in your phone. When you have an urge, when you PMO, think back a couple of minutes, even the full day, right? What led up to this moment? What were you feeling? Were you really stressed? Were you thinking about the really busy day that you were going to have at work? Were you thinking about this conversation that you were going to have with a coworker that you really didn't want to have? Were you thinking about, did you have a tough conversation with your girlfriend or with your wife and you had a hard time coping with those feelings, whatever they were that came up? What was it that brought up the feeling or brought up the urge? What made your brain say, hey, wait a minute, this is uncomfortable. We should probably go watch porn to cope with this instead of feel it because it hurts, it's uncomfortable. And so what triggered your brain to think that? And then if you haven't already, you guys, you need to find somebody that you trust, that you can confide in, that you can tell about your struggles, that you can be genuine with, that you can say, look, man, I feel like I should be confident at work. I have a lot of people that look up to me. I have a lot of people that rely on me, but I'm struggling, man. I'm having a hard time. If you don't have somebody in your life that you can have that type of conversation with, then, man, you're just making your life or recovery in general that much harder. And so please, please, please find somebody that you can confide in. And ideally, it's not a therapist. Ideally, it's somebody you can call at any time. With a therapist or a coach, you can't really do that. Sure, you can talk with them once or twice a week in your sessions, right? But find somebody that you can call at any time to be able to be there to support you, who knows you and who will love you despite the flaws that you have. And then don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this isn't an episode to just bagging on discipline. Discipline is a tool. It's not a moral measure, okay? It's not something that you use to tie to your identity to say, oh wow, if I can just be disciplined, people will respect me and like me more because that's what likable people do and are, is discipline, right? We don't want to tie discipline to who you are. You want to use it to create structure around growth, not self-condemnation. And so if you find that if you're not disciplined, if you make a mistake, that you beat yourself up, maybe that discipline is tied to who you are. And so you might need to disconnect that and realize that what you do is not connected to who you are. And then I want you to really expand your identity. Who are you? Without discipline, without success, without porn, right? Who are you? Define yourself by your values, connection, integrity, presence. Not just like we talked about last week, right? Not just the streaks, how many days you go without porn, or not just the performance at work. So I'll leave you with these two questions. What vulnerabilities have you been avoiding? I guess I'll go into more questions here, but what are those feelings that come up that you have a hard time with? What is it? If you don't know, that's a good place to start. And lastly, who do you want to become? Beyond this person who should be in control of everything. Who do you want to be? Where are you trying to go? So I really challenge you to think about those two things. What are you trying to avoid, and who do you want to become? How would this person that you're trying to become handle the feelings that you're trying to avoid? Okay, you guys are great. If you enjoyed this episode, like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave a review. It means the world to me. I see all of them. I really do. I see all the reviews, and if that is you who has left a review, thank you. I love you. I appreciate it. Again, share this with anyone who you might think would benefit from it, and I'll talk to you next week.